So I've just like literally over and over been like exposing myself to something that I'm allergic to and getting hives. And now I'm finally like done. Like I don't need to train in that lake anymore because I'm like gone.
But it was a one-time thing. You only got hives that one time.
No,
No?
no.
Oh, Sam.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Mewis coming to you from the Women's Games Satellite Office in LA.
And I'm Becky Sauerbrunn coming to you from Portland, Oregon, where I will be for the foreseeable future.
Oh my gosh, Becky, I'm so excited to hear all about it. Good Vibes FC is presented by our really great friends over at Olipop. Use code TWG20 for 20% off at drinkolipop.com. Today on the podcast, we're chatting Euros quarterfinal matchups. Who got on the good side of the bracket? Let's find out. Then we caught up with Mia Fishel about her big move to the Seattle Reign from Chelsea. And finally, we're honoring Tobin Heath's retirement with some of our favorite Tobin memories. But first, Becky, you're in Portland, Oregon for the foreseeable future. How are you doing settling into the third trimester?
Yeah, almost there. Settling in pretty good. I am done with traveling. I just got done with that kind of huge broadcasting gig where we did the live show and everything, which was super fun. But by the end, I was like, I'm done. Like it was a 3-game FIFA window, a lot of travel, a lot of work. I'm ready to do the prep and the classes and all the things that I haven't quite been doing but really need to do. It is very hot here for Portland, and I don't have air conditioning on the main level of my house. And so over the weekend, Zola and I were like, we got to do something to escape the heat. And so we went and saw the F1 movie yesterday with Brad Pitt. And it
Wow.
was awesome. It was like 2.5 hours long. And so we
Of
basically,
AC.
yeah, a nice, dark, cold movie with popcorn and some bubbly water and a good
Ugh.
movie.
That sounds awesome. I love going to the movies. I do not go enough.
I used to go so much, and then, of course, COVID happened and, like, large groups of people scared me,
Yeah.
and so we're just starting to get back into it a little bit more, and, like, yeah, it is really fun.
It's so great. And it's such a good excuse to like have a bucket of popcorn and a box of candy.
So much popcorn, and it was so good. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's enough about me. How about you? How's your weekend?
Yeah, great. Okay, good. I had a great weekend. I didn't leave for LA until like later on Sunday, so I like had a totally like normal weekend at home, which was amazing. I am in LA. The US Women's National Team Players Association has the Players Ball tomorrow night, which is like a big party. And like Rose and Lynn are going to be here, so like I'm very excited to see my friends, but I'm also like staying on the West Coast, I think, because my swim race is next weekend. It's on Saturday. So I'm like going over to Tahoe, which is like maybe up a little bit and in geographically. Is that right?
Don't ask me about maps
Nevada?
and geography, that is not my thing.
Yeah, I actually don't know exactly where it is, but I'm going there for the rest of the week after this event here in LA. I'm so excited about my swim race, but I did have a story I wanted to tell everybody about my swim training in Vermont, but it's kind of gross. So I'm interested if you want to hear it.
I love your gross stories, so absolutely share it.
Okay, so basically, I've been training in the lake. Lake Champlain is like wonderful for swimming most of the time. There is an issue because we have a lot of dairy farms. Please, if I'm wrong, anybody correct me. Sometimes chemicals get in the lake and then cyanobacteria grows. So occasionally in certain areas of the lake, you will get like a swimming warning. But where I live and swim, the cyanobacteria is not typically an issue. So I've been swimming and I've been swimming out half a mile. Pat's been paddleboarding next to me and then I swim back. And like a couple of weeks ago, I did my normal swim and then I went on a walk and I was so itchy.
Oh, no.
And then like later in the day, I had hives all over my body and I was
Oh,
so
Sam.
itchy. And I don't know exactly what it is. It could be an allergic reaction to a cyanobacteria, but it also, and I've been reading a lot about it, it could be like a snail parasite
Okay.
that I got exposed to in the water and then I had an allergic reaction to it. So basically, like I got this hive breakout bad, like bad. And then like it kind of went away. And then I just like kind of kept like doing it because I was like, what am I going to do? Like not train for my race. So I've just like literally over and over been like exposing myself to something that I'm allergic to and getting hives. And now I'm finally like done. Like I don't need to train in that lake anymore because I'm like gone.
But it was a one-time thing. You only got hives that one time.
No,
No?
no.
Oh, Sam, I thought it was like a
No.
once in a million, you just randomly got into a bad part of the lake.
I thought it was too. I thought it was too. So I like got bad hives. And then I was like, that was 1 in a million. Like that doesn't, I've never, nobody's ever told me that that happens before. So I like did it, swam again. And then I like, it wasn't as bad, but like I've on and off had hives for like 3 weeks.
So you're now just building up a tolerance to
Who knows? Or I'm just like given like parasites a permanent host. I don't. So I tell everybody this because I don't know. I just want everybody to know everything about my life, I guess.
it's your superpower. You just share everything, and I
I
feel
just
like
overshare in
you
a
don't overshare.
disgusting
It's
way.
the most perfect amount of sharing because then everyone feels like they can also share their stories. I also feel like, Sam, you have, like, skin things that happen to you. Because
I
wasn't it a
do.
few years ago that you had, like, a weird, like, leg skin thing?
Becky, yes. And I've been, of course, the first person I told this story to was Rose Lavelle because Rose just like notoriously like wants to know all of my like ailments. But yeah, one time we were doing the heat training for the Olympics and I had shaved my legs and then I had to wear pants into the heat training. So I like probably got some razor burn and then like intentionally sweat and had pants on like a lot. And I don't know what happened, but I like basically got like a hive rash of like razor burn and like hives. And,
Yeah,
like, remember my whole legs were covered in, like, red, like, I don't even
I
know.
do. I
It
do
hurt
remember,
so bad.
and everyone kept being like, "Well, you should do this and you should do that," and you
And I was
were
like, "Can you
like,
guys
"Guys."
shut up and leave me alone?"
Yeah, you're like, "You don't think I've tried absolutely everything?"
People would be like, "You need to shave with coconut oil," and I'd be like, "Literally shut up. Literally shut up." It was like a heat stroke rash.
Oh, Sammy, I'm so sorry. Your
So
sensitive little skin.
I mean, my skin is looking good now. Like, I
Yeah.
feel, okay. And honestly, like, I really do love swimming in the lake. So I like hope that I figure it out because it's not like I like want to give that up, but like I did get pretty bad hives.
Well, what if this could be like you're building up a tolerance,
Yeah.
you guys all race in Tahoe,
Yeah.
everyone else gets hives as they're racing, and you're
They
just
could.
like, "Oh, I've been living with this for months."
They could, but then I'm like, does Tahoe have whatever irritant that my lake has?
I mean, who knows? Maybe you're just preparing yourself for every possible scenario.
Yeah, you're so right. And here we are.
And yeah,
But
here we are.
I did want to explain. Remember in DC when we were doing the live show together, I wore pants and a blazer because I was covering up my skin hives,
Yes.
even though it was so hot.
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay, thanks everybody for listening to my hive story. I tell you because I love you and I just trust you. And if you know why I'm getting hives, send me an email, please let me know. Let's get into the Euros, Becky. Why we're really here. The group stage is complete, and sadly, half the teams are heading home. We're saying goodbye to Finland, Iceland, Belgium, Portugal, Poland, Denmark, Wales, and the Netherlands. Becky, do any of these teams not qualifying for the quarterfinals really surprise you, or was this actual like bracket situation kind of predictable to you?
I think Netherlands is both surprising, but also not
Yeah,
surprising that they didn't qualify for the knockout. It was a very difficult group. And after that first match day, I actually thought that England was going to be the team that was going to struggle to advance. But then I watched the second match day when England just completely demolished the Dutch and they could like barely register a shot on goal the entire first half. And so I figured by the third match day, it was too steep an ask for them to beat France and make up goal
yeah.
differential.
I know. It as things went on, it became clearer and clearer that it was gonna be England and France. We actually dropped a Euro check-in podcast late last week with Crystal Dunn, where we really covered England and France, who now are both heading to the quarterfinals after making it out of Group D, which Crystal, we've been calling it the group of death. Crystal appropriately dubbed it the group of drama, which
So much drama.
I loved that. I want to keep going with this group and address England's sharp turnaround from losing their opening game to France. Like you said, Becky, they really showed up against the Netherlands. They beat them 4-0, then smashed their local rivals, Wales 6-1. Becky, talk to us about England and what you've liked from them in their group play.
Yeah, aside from that first game against France, I have been very impressed by England. I think Serena Vigman made some really smart personnel decisions, and I think you and Crystal talked about it. For me in particular, the switching up of Jess Carter and Alex Greenwood along that back line really seemed to like shore things up. And then you just have players that are like playing on a different planet right now. Like Lauren James is just doing whatever she wants on the
Yeah.
field at whatever time. And as I was watching the Netherlands-France game on that 3rd match day, since both games were on at the same time, the
Yeah.
commentators kept showing the score of the England-Wales game,
And they just
and it
kept
was
scoring.
kept scoring and
I
so
know.
quickly, and I was just thinking, "Okay, like, they've clearly have found momentum going into the quarters now."
For sure. I think Alessia Russo has been really solid for England as well. And I'm glad that England seems to be heading into the quarters with some momentum. I'm just having so much fun watching England. I think partly because we cover the WSL so much, but also because I played there. So I feel just more connected to the players because I know some of them. So, like, I'm loving watching England. I'm glad that they're kind of on the up heading into the knockout rounds. France went 3-0 in the group stage in what was certainly the hardest group. This was so impressive to me from a team that, like, I didn't have them as like a, like a front runner to win. I kind of had them as like a wild card. Like, what will these roster changes mean for this team? But despite a ton of goals for France, they've had 9 different goal scorers across their 3 games. They've also kind of been bleeding goals, which I actually think is an issue going on in this tournament. France have 0 shutouts so far, four goals against them in the 3 games. I'm paging our resident defender to talk to us about this. Could this lack of sureness at the back be France's downfall, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it could be, and watching these games and some of the goals that are being scored against them, the defending is just so casual and, like, dare I say, like, lackadaisical. There are people that are not stepping out hard enough when a shot's coming. The back line in the Dutch game, they weren't reading the long ball, and so the Dutch were getting behind really easy. You know, people are trapping the ball in the 6 instead of just like, "I'm gonna put my foot through this and, like, let the group
Yeah.
breathe a little bit and, like, push forward." And, you know, I so strongly believe that defense wins championships. And so you just need to have a lot of pride about not picking up the ball out of your own net. And I haven't seen that pride with France. And that does concern me going into these quarters against quality sides.
I feel like this tournament has not had a lot of great, like, defensive examples yet. I just feel like there's just been like a ton of goals. I want to wrap up Group D. A couple final thoughts. Sadly, we're saying goodbye to Wales. I remember saying at the beginning of this tournament that, like, while I don't think Wales is necessarily going to like win an actual game in the group that they're in, it was still possible for them to get some personal kind of W's out of this tournament. And in some ways, I think they did do that. Jess Fishlock's goal against France was just a moment of like pure joy for this team and for like Wales as a nation. Even though Wales was really outmatched in all 3 of their games, this tournament was a big step forward for them. And I still feel like they just like showed a lot of courage and fight and like national pride.
Yeah, I agree. I was stoked for Jess and for Wales. She was just like the sheer joy on her face when that goal counted after VAR. Like my heart was just like soaring.
I know.
And I think, I mean, just to make your debut at Euros for the first time in your program's history is already such an accomplishment. Qualifying out of Europe is no joke. And the France game in particular, the Wales France game. So Jess scores to tie the game up. And I loved how they were playing. They were like really brave going forward. They were getting stuck in on tackles. But then the PK happened. And then that goalkeeper error happened. And it's just, you could just tell it was such a, like a heartbreaker, like a momentum killer. And if there's anything that you need in these major tournaments to go your way, it's the momentum.
For sure. I totally agree with that. And then I just think by the time, I mean, this England Wales game was also just so built up as like this rivalry, but I just think Wales was exhausted. Like they put
Yeah.
so much emotional energy into just being here that I just don't think they had much left against England, who again have a lot more resources, a lot more people. It's a bigger nation. The league in England is like really thriving. So shout out to Wales. Like,
Shout out.
honestly, feel proud of them, even though I'm not
Yeah.
Welsh at all.
I know.
Similarly to Wales, tournament debutantes Poland are also heading home after placing 3rd behind Sweden and Germany. And I do think Poland is worth a quick mention here. They were able to get a real win over Denmark in their 3rd group stage game. And this is, again, was a huge moment for their program. One, I think these players will use as a jumping off point for their kind of like hopes as they build towards a better future for women's football in Poland.
Yeah, and I think they've brought eyes to their team. They've got some real standout players. Like I
Yeah.
think of Natalia Padilla from Bayern Munich, Ewa Payor from Barcelona, who we talked about a bunch during Champions League. And I think these are two that like really impressed me. And you can tell a lot of offense goes through these two players, especially Payor. They were basically serving her everything and just being like, work your magic. And a lot of the time she did. Like she is just a really quality player. And I think I'm really looking forward to see her continue on the professional side, but also for Poland, because I also believe Poland defended quite well. I mean, for a nation going up against some really heavy hitters, like I was like, this is pretty good defending from a team.
Yeah, and you mentioned the heavy hitters in their group. They were Sweden and Germany, who now will both move on from Group C. Sweden beat Germany 4-1 in each team's, I guess I'd say somewhat meaningless final group stage game because they were both already through. But when I say meaningless, I'm kind of like, it did secure Sweden's first place finish in Group C, which frustratingly puts them up against England. But at least they're on the other side of the bracket from Spain, I guess. Like, I don't really know which is worse, to face England now or Spain later. It really feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for both of them in Group C.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to love tournament play, and also just the fact that the women's game has gotten to a point where there's just such quality at every level that you're going to play in a tournament. But like we've always said, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And it actually reminds me of 2019 when we won our group and Sweden got second, and we moved to the harder side of the tournament for sure.
I'll
I mean,
say.
yeah, we played Spain next, then France in France, England, and Sweden. They moved to the less difficult side.
I
And
can't
then,
believe we did that.
oh, I know. I constantly think about it to this day, and I'm like, we really deserved to win 2019. I mean, we
Yeah.
played some really good teams. And then, Sweden wound up losing in the semifinals to the Netherlands. And so I always just figure just win the games and like don't worry about who's winning on the other side of the bracket. Like just take care of your business and usually good things happen.
For sure. I will mention, because we've been talking about defending maybe being a shortfall in this tournament so far, Sweden has only conceded one goal in all of the group stage. And I think Sweden have really come out and been like, we're here, we're ready, we're always here in world tournaments. So Sweden's definitely a team to keep your eye on. We're going back to this kind of bracket challenge. The actual losers of this bracket challenge have got to be Switzerland, who are now facing Spain in the quarterfinal. And look, Switzerland made it through the group. They're the host nation. Like, making it to the knockout rounds, they've made history. It's like they're setting this new standard for Swiss women's football. Their fans have been so supportive of them. The performances, especially from Geraldine Reuteler, I just feel like Switzerland has this like momentum and like real energy and like emotion like on this wave with them. It's just that now they're playing Spain. Is there any hope in the entire world of Switzerland ever beating Spain in this quarterfinal? Or would that just like, is that just like not even something we should like discuss?
I think nothing is ever too crazy. And like we joked about how could Arsenal in the Women's Champions League final ever beat Barcelona? And
True.
they
I said
did.
that.
Yeah, you were convinced there was no chance. I was convinced that there was a small chance. And so yeah, nothing's ever too crazy. And I have loved the way that the Swiss has been playing. There's so much heart and pride and commitment happening on the field
Yeah.
and in the stands. Like the support from the country has been unreal. And I will tell you, like I am crying a little bit more than usual nowadays, but that comeback win against Finland
Oh my God.
brought tears to my eyes.
In the last minutes of the game, Becky,
Yes.
and like we're posting about this so much on our social media, so I feel like I'm really seeing it from like every emotional angle, but the fans in Switzerland have showed up. Like, I have a couple quotes here from Pia Sundhage, Switzerland's head coach. She said, "It is so much more fun to coach and play when you have a loud crowd. The reason we are in the quarterfinal is because we are on home soil." I literally love that so much. You can just feel that Switzerland is so proud to be hosting and that they want football to grow in their country. Watching teams like Switzerland and Wales and even Poland and Italy, who are in the quarterfinal too, they're just like getting their whole nations together behind them. And I hope that these and other countries are looking at these players and these stories and want to keep investing and growing their programs. The next big stars can really come from anywhere. Even, this is kind of a side note, but even just this week, Becky, we learned that 20-year-old forward Olivia Smith from Canada is set to break the women's transfer fee record after just one season in the WSL with Liverpool. She's reportedly now headed to Arsenal. That's the same record that Naomi Girma broke at the beginning of the year, one that's being broken more and more frequently. And that's a trend that obviously we hope will continue, but it's like a trend that tournaments like this can really like shine light on young up and coming players like this, and giving them the biggest stage and the biggest opportunities to continue to perform and like grow the game, I think is something that we're really seeing during a tournament like this.
Yeah, and I think the trend is gonna continue as it should, and you have ceiling breakers like Naomi, like, for a reason. It allows others to rise up, and it's so amazing to see these players be so highly valued in the soccer world.
Totally. It's everything is like looking really good right now. It's a fun time to be a women's soccer fan. Let's look ahead to the quarterfinal matchups. Up first on Wednesday, we're going to have Norway versus Italy. Norway have been, I feel, somewhat fortunate with their draw. Like they got 3 wins in group play. I don't think they like did anything crazy great yet. And now they're up against Italy, who are one of the less experienced teams in this quarterfinal round. I just think Norway's looked a little bit like on the back foot, like a little bit like, I don't wanna say lackluster, but just, like, not as energized as some other teams, whereas Italy, like, have everything to play for. They went up a goal against Spain. Like, Italy are riding this, like, kind of emotional high. You can just feel their energy. Becky, do you have any thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, my thought is, how the hell did Norway make it into the quarters? I mean, of all the teams I've watched, Norway to me has been the most disappointing. And I really don't like to speak ill of any teams, but they have slunk their way into the knockouts with like half-hearted performances. Like honestly, they are so fortunate to be so individually talented, but the body language that I've seen, the very obvious frustrations that on the field between players, like it's not nice to watch. Like I'm very surprised they made it 3 wins out of 3 out of that group.
Well, so I mean, yeah, so am I. And so I do feel like the opportunity is right here for Italy to just like show up with some good body language. Becky, when you said the word slunk, you were
I
just like
mean,
so disgusted. And
oh.
I just like hope that you like never say the word slunk about me. Like that you never just go, Sam just slunked her away.
I mean, we are good vibes and you watch them play
I
and the
know.
vibes are not good.
No, they're
And so I
slunking
hope they
around.
find it. I hope they can find it, but I have been they've made me sad, like sad vibes.
I think, yeah. Yeah, fair enough. All right, Norway, we hope you find it. The other quarterfinals are Sweden versus England, SOS on Thursday, Spain versus Switzerland, which we've mentioned, that's happening Friday, and then France versus Germany on Saturday. That brings us, Becky, to our Olipop gut chick of the week. Who is making it to the semifinals of the Euros?
Well, let's pop this open so I can think about it for a little bit longer.
Pop her open, Reaper.
Oh,
You're drinking for
for
2
for
and 3 because I don't have one today.
Okay, well, it's vintage cola if you care. Okay.
Ah.
So, if I'm going with my head, Sweden, Spain, France, and Italy. If I'm going with my heart, Switzerland makes it through over Spain, and England makes it through over Sweden. That is my heart. I don't know if I want to be feeling or cerebral, but those are my 2 answers.
Okay, I just realized that like I am not even prepared to answer this question because I'm like England, Sweden. I don't know. I don't know. I do think that Sweden has been one of the best teams in the tournament so far, but my heart is with England.
I
Like
know.
I want England to win. So I'm answering heart because we all know all I ever do is feel. Don't think. Just go with your emotions, everybody. So I'm going Italy, all heart.
Mhm.
Spain, because I gotta. Come on.
Okay.
England, and you know what? France. That's an
Yeah.
all heart answer. It's an all heart
Okay.
answer. France has been also, despite the, little bit of lack of focus at the back, fun to watch. Delphine Cascarino is on a tear. We just talked to her last week, and I'm kind of like, oh my God, every guest we have on the show like does so good.
Bawling out. That oh my gosh, some of her goals have been unreal. When she took
She's
it from,
just
like,
like,
the
no,
halfway.
I'm doing it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'll take it. I'll
okay.
take the shot.
You do it. So that's who I'm going with. All heart answer. Becky, we're going to see what happens. That was our Olipop gut chick of the week. Make sure you let us know your predictions for who's making it into the semifinals of the Euros. We'll be watching each quarterfinal matchup, so make sure you're following along with us on social. We're also going to be covering the Copa America, which has just kicked off its first round of games with teams like Brazil, Paraguay, and Chile. This tournament is set up a little bit differently with 10 teams in 2 groups. The Women's Africa Cup of Nations is also ongoing, with the quarterfinals getting finalized for this weekend. Two of the NWSL's biggest stars, Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji, have 3 goals apiece so far in this tournament. So many incredible international tournaments happening right now. So much soccer to watch. We do need to take a quick break, but when we get back, we have an interview with Seattle Reign's newest signing, Mia Fishel, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. All right, Becky, last week I had the chance to catch up with Seattle Reign's newest signing, Mia Fishel. Mia, the 24-year-old striker from San Diego, has been a blossoming star at Chelsea and for the U.S. women's national team, but until just a few months ago has been rehabbing an ACL injury. So I was really pumped to have the opportunity to chat with her amidst the big news of her move to return to the U.S. and play in the NWSL for the first time.
I can't wait to hear it.
All right, everybody, here's Mia Fishel. Mia Fishel, hi. Welcome back to the women's game and congratulations on the recent move. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be here, finally settled and unpacked.
Ah, that must be so nice. That's such a good feeling. We have so much to catch up on. The last time we spoke was actually on stage in New York City, and you were in the midst of rehabbing your knee with Chelsea. Now you've just made headlines for your blockbuster move to the NWSL and the Seattle Reign, a move that honestly seems like I would say appropriately against the grain for somebody who I know really prides themselves on creating and forging their own path all the time. At this moment in the kind of global game, so many American players are choosing to play in Europe that it actually like really makes sense to me that you would set your own trend and come back to the States. How are you feeling in this moment with the news just recently dropping? And was the reaction what you expected?
Yeah, I feel amazing about the move. A lot of support from a lot of different people, like a lot of coaches, a lot of friends and teammates. So it's just nice to feel kind of supported in that way. And like you said, a lot of players are going to Europe, and I feel like I did that first, and so I think people are catching on. Like, okay, maybe you want to go now to Europe, or just kind of take your journey elsewhere. So I just feel like I got as much out of the experience from going to Mexico and going to England as well, that I feel like ready and all tooled up to come home.
Ah, I love that. Well, we're literally so happy to have you. You've had a steady return to the field in the past few months. I know you've been coming off an ACL injury. You played for Chelsea a handful of times in the spring. You joined up with the US U23s in May and June for some games against Germany. I know sometimes returns from injury take a little bit of time to feel fully yourself again, but I want to hear from you as you start this new journey with Seattle. How are you feeling physically, and do you feel like you're back to your full self post injury?
Yeah, I feel honestly really good. I feel like I felt really good in January. So I know that I came back like officially in March, but the way that my rehab was going, I was ahead of schedule, and my PT was like, don't rush it. Like, there's no need, even though you feel like 100%, you feel like you're ready to fly, like it does help when you wait a little bit longer. Like, even just a month can increase, you know, the risk of not re-injuring it again. So I just wanted to make sure like I came back right. I came back fully fit, but I felt good in January. So I was kind of like slow rolling myself. Got some
Yeah.
minutes in March because I know that Chelsea was also being careful about my return and making sure that I'm coming in the games that aren't competitive. And it was so funny because like 3 games, it was like 1-0, it was 2-1. I'm like, come on, guys, can you guys please make it like 3-4-0 so I can get in this game? So that also delayed my return back. And then, as the end of the season kind of ramps up with Chelsea and the importance games, like I wasn't able to just get those good minutes in that, it's kind of difficult coming off an ACL injury and the amount of time I've been off. So right now I'm
Right.
just continue to build from that and try to play as much as I can to get that game fitness. As we all know, I can do as much conditioning as possible, but a game fitness is just totally different. So I'm just building that right now, but I feel good. I feel happy, and I trust that, Seattle is going to integrate me back the right way.
That's incredible to hear. I'm so glad you're feeling good. I'm going to rewind a little bit. You mentioned this, but for anybody who may have forgotten your journey, Mia, you went pro after only 3 seasons of college soccer at UCLA. Go Bruins. But instead of playing in the NWSL after you got drafted, you chose to play in Mexico because I'm sure for a multitude of reasons, but you were also critical of the draft system, which gave players at the time very little say in what teams they got to play for. You were immediately a massive star for Tigres, winning the league's top scoring award, as well as helping Tigres to win the championship. Then you went to play for Chelsea after just about a year. And now here we are 3 years into your pro career, and you're making this another bold, really exciting move. Can you tell us a little bit about how you knew it was time to make another move and why it felt right now to come to the NWSL?
I have, a gift of knowing when it's time to go and a time where I've hit the ceiling on what I'm supposed to learn in that experience. I got that feeling in Mexico. It hit me with Chelsea a year and a half into my time there. And I knew that, especially after an ACL injury, I'm going to need the support and playing time to be where I want to be at. I obviously want to be on the U.S. women's national team. I know how important it is to get playing time, and I'm honestly very, very grateful to be, in an environment like Chelsea that pushed me every single day and full of stars. I exponentially grew, and now it's about playing. I think in my mindset, and I know how competitive it is with Chelsea. And I knew that I wanted to be an environment where I can, show my talents and show why I deserve to be playing, why I deserve to be on the U.S. Women's National Team. And I also knew that I had some familiar faces in the NWSL that, I can trust with my next journey, especially with, the Olympics, World Cup coming up for the U.S. Women's National Team. So, yeah, that definitely was kind of the biggest thing is playing time and just kind of getting this feeling like, hey, it's like I got all that I needed to get out of this experience. Now it's time to come closer to home.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it always strikes me that you have such an innate sense of, like, what's best for you and such a, like, deep self-confidence that you seem to be really clear and have a lot of clarity on the path that's right for you. Like I just mentioned before, when you first were drafted into the NWSL, there wasn't a lot of player autonomy or power over where they got to play, and now you're kind of entering into this whole new league. The players fought really hard in their CBA negotiations to gain that autonomy. The draft has been abolished, and players can't be traded now without their consent. Did those changes to the league kind of impact your decision to come back here now?
Yeah, definitely. I knew at the time when I got out of UCLA that the league was just not ready. Like I could just, with all the allegations, all the lawsuits that was happening, it was just. I think for me at that time, it's like, okay, this is too much. I don't know a lot. I didn't know about the team that drafted me, so that was definitely a not good feeling at all. Just not knowing what I'm stepping myself into, knowing how important I take my career decisions. So now that it's opened up, and obviously, now we see a lot of youngers coming into the league and a lot of players having, the choice to be where they're at is just amazing. That helps grow the league, that helps other players and across the world come to the NWSL. So it's just a great feeling that, the players have a little bit more say in what they want to do.
Definitely. I know that when you went to Chelsea, you said that you were looking to play with some of your heroes to really grow and develop your game. You just mentioned all the players that you're exposed to at training every day, the stars of Chelsea. There's like literally too many to name. You also mentioned to me last time we spoke that when you said when you came to the NWSL, you wanted to be in your prime. I'm curious how you feel about how you as a player view yourself coming into the league right now, and how did your time at Chelsea help you get here?
Yeah, I will definitely say like this injury has changed me a lot. Physically, mentally, like I'm quicker, I'm stronger, I'm mentally stronger as well. And that's why I've just been kind of like, come on, like get me out on the field. Like I'm ready to show everything that I've been able to grow as a player. As well as the time, just individually, the technical work that you get, just one on one with coaches, the coaching staff at the time, Sonia, are very keen on technical ability. So I even got this kind of different training that you wouldn't see in the States or even in Mexico that I think helped me elevate my game coming back from injury. I think naturally being in an environment like Chelsea, going against, Millie Brights and Aaron Cuthberts, I think that naturally that just helps you grow as a player. And the speed of play, coming back from an injury, you kind of just want to slow burn it. But once you're in training at Chelsea, you are fully in and it's just time to go. So I think that also helped me kind of build this confidence in myself with my game and the player that I want to be on the field. That is just very exciting for me at the time right now.
That's so awesome to hear. I'm like getting so excited to watch you play with Seattle. We've talked about how so much of that confidence that you mentioned, kind of like one of your trademark qualities, comes from you having such an incredible support system. Who did you lean on and talk to while deciding to come back to the States?
Definitely a lot of my family. They've been my supporters since day one, and they're connected with what's going on in women's soccer and just watching a bunch of games. So I definitely lean on them a lot. Also, my agent with TMJ. We're always talking like every day about just random stuff and where I want to be at and my goals and my dreams. And I think that the connection that my agent has as well in the sports world also helped me, choose what was best for me essentially.
When you went to play for Chelsea, you were initially signed by Emma Hayes, who was the manager there before she came to coach the US Women's National Team. Did you talk at all with Emma about your decision to return to the US?
Yeah, I definitely did. She has, been crucial in my development and where I want to be at. When I first started at Chelsea, I think we built this trust and this kind of transparency with one another on what's best, for my career. And she definitely was saying how it's going to be important for me to play. Obviously, coming back from an ACL injury and getting back up to speed, it's all about play, play, play. So I knew that I wanted to be on a team, that wants to play me, that knows my values and knows how I'd like to play.
That brings us to this perfect place that we're in now. We're going to talk more about Seattle. Obviously, your injury and whatever was going on at Chelsea, this whole time has affected your ability to play with the US. And so moving to the Reign, having these conversations with Emma, you've mentioned this multiple times, you really just need playing time and to get games in the NWSL now. And I think what's so perfect about your situation is that there isn't another national team camp until October, and you actually have this kind of longer runway to get worked in with the Reign and get some real minutes in. How are you hoping that this move to the Reign will affect your future on the national team?
Yeah, I mean, this is why I chose the Reign as well. I think they are the best team to get me where I need to be at when it comes to the coaching. Laura Harvey, we had special connection with the U20s and qualifiers. It sucks that COVID kind of just shattered that whole
Mhm.
dream of winning a World Cup, which I really think that would have happened with that group. But in that short period of time, she made me grow so much as a player and in my confidence that I knew was going to be a big decision coming to the States on the coach. So I knew immediately that I could trust her. And we talked so many times, over the phone, kind of leading up to this decision about, how she's not only going to, get me where I want to be at, but also push me every single day to be the player that, that is potential. And I think that was definitely a decision that, or it helped me make that decision as well. And obviously the team's exciting. It's young. There have been so many clubs with the players that reign. I think there was like 4 or 5 in the last U.S. Women's National Team. So I also wanted to be in an environment where I'm training every day with the best because I know what that is and what that feels like from Chelsea. That I kind of wanted to be replicated here in the States, and I think that this young team has been playing well, and it's an exciting team. I'm just excited to get started with them.
It sounds like such an incredible opportunity. I also imagine, Mia, that for a player like you, who kind of, was out there saying, maybe I'm looking for a move, so many doors must have been opened. You mentioned, the team, some of the players in Seattle. Obviously, Laura Harvey is like such an incredible coach. And it sounds like your conversations with her were really appealing to you. What else about Seattle felt like the right fit for you?
I think as well as I'm closer to home, I definitely wanted to
Mm,
be in on a team that was accessible to my family who have always wanted to see me play. It's difficult at Chelsea, kind of getting them all the way over there. So I'm definitely
yeah.
happy that my family is close. And as well as, like I said, the conversations I had with Leslie, like the GM and Laura, I think that their vision of me and they're kind of pitched what we always talked about since the beginning of my career is like if you're able to sit me down and tell me how I'm valued, how you see me and your style of play and the environment, the lifestyle. I think it just all clicked in my head that it just never clicked with other teams that I had conversations with, as well as the owner was on the call for Seattle Sounders. So I think that that was also the first owner that popped up in the Zoom meeting as well. So I think that there was a feeling of being valued and respected that goes a long way. And I know how important that is coming from, Tigres and how quickly I was able to kind of adapt to the coaching, the my teammates. And I think that's why that I was able to shine so quickly. And I'm looking for an environment that I feel that I can feel home so quickly that I will perform the way that I want to perform on the field.
I think you explained that perfectly. I feel like there's this like mutual respect that happens when you feel like the club really values you as a player, that you're able to then really quickly
Yeah.
give them your best. Mia,
Mhm.
you're obviously a forward. You're known for scoring goals, but you're also always supporting your teammates, setting them up for goals, or even dropping back defensively. The Reigns roster is made up of such a fun mix of rookies like Jordan Bug and Maddie Darlene, as well as pretty iconic NWSL veterans like Jess Fishlock and the one and only Lynn Biondolo, who we actually just saw a picture of you training with, which made me
Yes.
so excited.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on this team that you are just so excited to play with?
I'm really excited to play with G. I have heard so many things from Chelsea. They still talk about G and how she's so goofy, she's so funny, but then she's like a world-class top player that just is able to see the game in such a different way. I think that this team is also exciting because they're so fluid. Like you said, there's so many different um, aspects to this team, and that's why I'm also very excited to just talk to Laura and how she wants to play me because like you said, like I'm a very versatile nine. You know, I can hold up the ball, I can stretch, I can score in different types of ways. So I'm really excited to see how Laura wants to set up this team for success and be a dangerous team going forward.
Yeah, I think when you think about your best role as an attacking player, what do you think you can do for Seattle that will then set you up well to also go and do that for the national team?
I think I play my best when I make others around me better. And I think that's like the biggest thing. So I feel like I can do that in many different ways depending on what the game asks for. I'm not predictable at all. So I think that my ability to kind of vary my game from game to game is going to be a very cool thing to show to Emma and what I can do because we're up against so many different teams on the national team level that I think my game is suited for any type of game that you want. And I think
Mhm.
me playing that way against the NWSL teams that they set up differently, they have different threats, they have different weaknesses. My game is going to naturally have to change from game to game, and I think that if I'm able to execute each game differently, I think that will be a great asset going into the national team.
That's incredible. It's super exciting to hear. Last year, the Rain finished 13th out of 14 teams, but this year, the Rain have looked renewed, energized. They've been steadily climbing the standings, and currently, they're in the middle of the table in sixth place, and you're joining them just after the halfway mark of the season. What can you tell us about the Rain's plans for their upcoming games and then hopefully the playoffs later this year?
It's an exciting time for sure. I mean, obviously they want to win. Obviously, they'll use momentum as they go into the second half from what it was in the first season. Hopefully, I can help in any way to kind of, you know, get that over the line and compete for playoffs and compete for a championship. But this team has everything. Like that's why I'm super excited to get started because they have a winning mentality. They have a great coach and great players. So that's all you really want to ask for.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be such a great fit. This is my last question for you. I do feel like with so many American stars retiring or going to play in Europe, there's kind of been this like little bit of panic from NWSL fans that we're losing some of our like star power. So I see that you coming here, coming to choosing to play in the NWSL with the way you play, the way you carry yourself, again, that just kind of self-assuredness and confidence that exudes from you, you just feel like the kind of star that the league really like needs right now. How do you hope that your presence here doesn't just help you grow as a player, but helps this league grow?
Yeah, I think that just speaks to my journey, and I feel like you said, every thing like has to go through growing pains. And anybody saw at the time when I was coming into league was going through that. And I feel like it's not anything bad towards it. It's just it's not the right time. And I feel like right now, where the league's going and the momentum that it's at, I think many stars internationally are going to come here just because of like moves like where I'm going to the back to to Seattle, in the NWSL. I think that it's so the teams as well. Like every game is a final. I really like
Mhm.
that. I like that some games in WSL you don't want to watch. Like it's gonna be 5-6-0, like depending on the game. Like, but when I tune into an NWSL game, any game is good. Like so that
Yeah.
also is very appealing, I think, to players. Um and yeah, like I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to, grow the league if that's what people see it as and kind of root for it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited for you, Mia. I can't wait to be watching you week in and week out. You're already one of my favorite players to watch. I'm so excited that you're going to be playing with Lynn, who's literally my best friend. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to cheer for you with the rain this season.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so very hard for me to get excited about Seattle, but it is really exciting to have Mia Fishel coming into the NWSL. I've played with her just a few times with the USWNT, and she really is like a special type of nine that we don't see very often. And she's a really confident player, will bring a lot of energy to Seattle. So it's so great to hear her speak about wanting to learn from Laura Harvey, grow her game, and then just putting her together with Lynn, with
I
Jordan
know.
Heidema, Maddie Deline, like, that's kind of a scary offense right there in Seattle.
I know. I completely agree. I'm really excited for Mia. It was great to catch up with her. I'm excited to have her in Seattle. And I just like, may we all have the confidence to make bold decisions for ourselves like this. I am like literally channeling my inner Mia. But we are going to take one more quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. All right. The big news in the women's soccer world last week was Tobin Heath announcing her retirement. Tobin has been injured for a while, but she has not let that stop her from building a literal empire with Kristen Press at Re-Inc., advising on the World Sevens tournament, becoming the first woman to, I think she was analyzing the Club World Cup for FIFA. She's doing so much, and she's doing that all off the field work before she even actually officially retired. So I just want to say Tobin's influence on this game is already felt by so many people in so many ways. And I'm a huge fan of the way that she's really just recommitting herself to continuing to push the growth and improvement of women's soccer forward. She's a legend whose story is only just beginning.
My favorite thing about Tobin is that she's always sees the game as something beautiful, and she's kept the spirit and the beauty of the game at the forefront of all of our minds, like anyone that's ever kind of been in her sphere. And if you take, for instance, the World 7 tournament, which we've talked about, Sammy, a bunch about how cool the formatting was and just how much the players looked like they were really enjoying themselves.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like a physical manifestation of what soccer should always be like in Tobin's mind. It's like a
Mhm.
Tobin brainchild right there. And I love that she got to share that with the world. And I think that's her influence on the game as the women's game continues to grow and evolve and accomplish like all these amazing things. I feel like Tobin is one of those players that won't let us lose perspective on the why we all started to play the game in the first place, which is the enjoyment, the love, the passion, the connection, the camaraderie, like all of those beautiful things.
Tobin loves soccer like more than anybody I've ever met. Like I think that like I think of her as the football purist. And I know Lindsay Heaps has idolized Tobin so much. And I think that's like part of what we see from Lindsay is this like she like learned to love the game so much from Tobin. And I love that you pointed out the World Sevens thing because I feel like something I really admire about Tobin is that what she does align herself with, and obviously this becomes so much more like visible in her retirement, but the things that she is being involved in are so authentic to her. It's like I don't want to say like manifests that she'll only work on projects that are like perfectly suited to her, but it's like she does that. And it's so
Yeah, I
cool
know.
when you see people being like involved in creating the things that are so representative of them. And it just makes me feel I actually just listened to Tobin and Press's recap show of Tobin's retirement. And it brought up a lot of things about my own, retirement. I think that Tobin and I had maybe a similar knee injury and went through a long process of like coming to accept that we had to step away from the game. And I think something it reminded me of about myself in hearing Tobin kind of talk about it and struggle with it was like, who are you away from soccer? And something that I'm still learning, but I feel like I understand even better now is like, and I'm gonna say this in a way that talks about Tobin. It's like, who is Tobin as a player? She's like passionate, she's creative, she's skillful, she's hardworking. Tobin is still passionate, creative, skillful, hardworking. She's doing it in other areas of her life, but like who she is as a player is who she still is, and she'll just bring all of those qualities to whatever she's doing, whoever she's around, whatever, being a dog mom now, like having her own company, like working for, being an analyst, whatever Tobin is doing, she is all those things still. And I think that that's been my most important takeaway from like my difficult retirement journey. And it's something I hope I can like tell Tobin in person that it's a really hard transition to make, but you'll come to see that like you don't have to be a separate person. Like you are still who you were as a player. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and I absolutely love how you said that.
Thanks, Reba. Well, I thought in honor of Tobin's playing career, we could both tell a story from a time we witnessed something truly Tobin. Mine, I thought of this literally immediately. It's from one of the Olympic send-off games against Mexico in 2021. It was raining, and Tobin had been injured for like a few months, but she was just coming back just in time for the Olympics. It was her first game back, and she got on the field in like, I don't know, the 75th minute or something. She like gets the, wins the ball at midfield, gets the ball back, literally so far away from the goal. And then just for some crazy reason, she shoots from 40 yards out. And it's raining and the ball is like bouncing towards the goal and it like goes off the post and in. And I'm standing there on the field and I literally turned, everybody's celebrating. And I went like this, Becky. I went
Yeah, like, who are you?
almost like, why, how, why did you do that? Like, you just got on the field. That it wasn't like in the game plan to shoot from 40 yards out for your first touch back from injury. Like, you're the most insane player I've ever played with. And I had seen Tobin do so many incredible things in training and in games throughout all of our years playing together. But this one hit me as Tobin because I think she just like obviously like rose to the occasion and like proved to herself that she was back and ready to be playing. But she also did something like kind of outlandish because she just trusted herself. And I think that that's my experience of Tobin. It's like, yes, of course, the skill, the tactical awareness, the vision to execute, but it's more so like the bravery to do it. And that's what I think like I remember her for is that self-belief. And that's what like always set her apart to me.
So my Tobin story is very similar and that kind of like feeling of like what does she see on the field that we don't see? But for me it's always like the feeling that she gave me when I was around her when I got to play with her. It's like she just saw the game differently from most of us and where people see tactics and X's and O's, Tobin saw something else and she saw connections on the field. She could feel the timing and the tempo of how a play could and should be successful. She knew when the team wasn't on the same page and she could identify it. And it wasn't necessarily something that was like easily identifiable. It was just like a feeling. And she could relay these intangibles to people so that they could understand, but they would never like truly get it. They would never experience what she could experience. And I feel like she lived her life off the field pretty similarly, like not bound by these restraints that we feel most of the time. And I think about, in camp, I never really saw her on her phone. I think she had teammates that basically needed to tell her like where and when she needed to be places. She just exists in a way that makes the most sense to her. And that's got to be such a freeing feeling. And you have rule followers and rule breakers. And yeah, I'm such a rule follower. And Tobin is like one of those rare people where the rules just don't even exist. And I think about we were in London for a women's national team game and we got to see Arsenal play at Emirates Stadium and we're getting picked up right after the match. They were like, be there, the bus needs to get you guys back. We've got practice the next morning. And Tobin somehow convinced me to run to the team store, buy some merchandise. And so like I am a rule follower for
Yeah.
sure. She somehow got me to do this. But I still have this Arsenal mug that I use to this day, and I can't even be upset that everyone was pissed off that we held up the bus because, like, I just love it and, like, that moment so much.
Oh, that is so sweet, Becky. We could tell a lot of stories about Tobin. And again, I think like I really recommend people listen to that episode of the recap show. Like it was really emotional and really beautiful. And I think that it's a difficult journey to go through. And I'm really like sending Tobin a lot of love and I want to give her a really big hug. Tobin, you truly are one of one. So thank you for everything. You've already contributed to the game and obviously we all know that there's so much more to come. Okay, Becky, let's go over to the inbox. We got an email from Kate that reads, "Hi Sam, I am reading The National Team by Caitlin Murray and she's describing the sort of unusual set piece created by Tony Gustafsson in the 2015 World Cup final against Japan where Carly Lloyd started outside the 18-yard box and sprinted toward the goal to knock Pino's corner kick into the goal. It got me thinking about set pieces. How many does the team have at any given point, and how do you know which set piece you're running on a corner or direct kick? From watching the 2015 replay, there didn't seem like there was much conversation amongst the team about what the plan is. They just seemed to know what to do. Also, how many times can you run a set piece before a team starts to pick up on what you're doing and it is no longer effective? I'd love to know your thoughts. Love the show. Kate from Philadelphia. Becky, since you were there in person, why don't you tell us all about this set piece?
The set pieces, they're so interesting because we know what set piece we're running because the taker will usually do some sort of like hand signal. And so they'll be walking with the ball over to the corner flag and they'll lift their left arm or their right or both. Or they're like, they'll do something.
Or they'll fix their shin guard or they'll bounce the ball.
Exactly, like something just different from the normal routine. And we all know, okay, this is the set piece that we need to run. And as for like how many you have at any time, it really depends on who you're playing. Like each scouting report for a game has its own set of set pieces based off how the team sets up defensively. Are they zonal? Are they man to man? Are they some sort of combination of both? And so we actually have plays to work on directly how someone defends against us. But I will say what can be very confusing, and I was always kind of grateful in a way that I was a center back. And so I usually was like not in any of these attacking set pieces is the order of the set piece. And so sometimes it would be one on the left. And then if we got a second corner, it would be different if it was on the right side of the field, but the same if it was on the left side again. And I would be in these meetings being like, how do these people remember the order? Remember the different runs, the different picks. Like there are so many little things that go into set piece to run it. And then there would be times where the coach would be like, and if this space is not available, scratch it and go to this next one. And it's so everyone's reading the play, they're reading the taker. The taker has like all this responsibility of setting up the set piece, actually delivering in a quality ball. And so it's kind of like we joke about set pieces being kind of like the great equalizer in a match. It really is. It really is because so much work goes into it. And like we've always talked about, goals are scored in the 18s. And so when you have a set piece, it is so important that you do them correctly. And if you don't, you will see it in the video.
Yeah, totally. I think that 2015 World Cup finals and even our 2019 run in the World Cup were which was so set piece heavy. Like we scored like all of our goals on set pieces. And it is just proof that if you plan them well, execute them well, they're just such a great chance to like have numbers in the box, cause chaos, execute a plan. And Tony Gustafsson, shout out, was coming up with set pieces left and right that just always seem to work out for us. Kate, I love that email. Thank you so much for writing in. Anybody can write us with questions about set pieces, about maybe allergic reactions. Let me know. Send us an email, womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. Becky, sadly, we're reaching the end of the show. I don't want to leave you, but at least we can leave our listeners with a good vibe. So what do you have for us today?
I'm going to go back to July 4th. And I don't think we've talked really since then
No.
on the pod. And my neighborhood had a block party. And so they
Oh,
just kind of cordoned off a stretch of the neighborhood and people were grilling. Like there was this huge tent with like 3 or 4 grills. And so they were making food for everybody. All the kids were there. And so there were, slip and slides and little pools and like bouncy houses. And it was just amazing just to kind of sit down with my neighbors who I haven't really got to spend a whole lot of time with over the years because I've always been gone, especially through the summers. And just to sit and get to know them and everyone's like handing each other their babies. And it was, yeah.
oh.
And they were so like you are so part of this community, not just because you live here, but you're also a soon to be mom. And they have dropped off baby clothes and bottles and maternity clothes. And it was just so welcoming and so lovely. And it was such a great vibe.
Oh my God, Becky, literally, it's so funny that you bring this up right now because my good vibe was going to be that my sister and the baby are coming to visit next week. And multiple families that I'm friends with in Vermont have said, well, what do you guys need? Do you need a car seat? Do you need a stroller? Do you need a pack and play? Do you need and I'm literally like, I didn't know people thought of letting their friends who have a traveling baby borrow all of their baby equipment. And multiple people are offering us stuff. And that was literally my good vibe today was this like really, really nice feeling that I got from knowing that my community was like around us and supporting us. And it's my nephew's just coming into town and it's just like so sweet.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
I know. The good vibes around babies are just kind of the best.
I'm starting to learn that.
Oh my God, Reva. Wow. Okay. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. Our Euros coverage is continuing all throughout this month. While we won't have an episode of Friendlies this Thursday, we will be checking in with U.S. Women's National Team star and captain Lindsay Heaps on all things Euros quarterfinal. So you won't want to miss that. That's coming out on Friday. And a little sneak preview, everybody. I know there's no Friendlies this week, but next week's interview is really, really special. So I'm really excited for everybody to hear it. Please make sure you're subscribed to this podcast feed and our YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on audio, come on over to YouTube next time. We're here. Our little faces are here. You can see the face and the arm signal that I made at Tobin when she scored that crazy goal. You can also follow along with us on social media at Women's Game MIB. All right, everybody. We got to go, but we'll see you soon.
I'm Becky Sabrin.
And I'm Sam Muniz. Love you guys.
Bye.